Hello, and welcome to Seeking Heaven, the Near-Death Experience and Other Phenomena. I'm your host, Tamara Caulder Richardson. I'm a six-time near-death experiencer, and I'm also an evidential psychic medium. I want to welcome you today. We have an excellent guest for you. Very excited to introduce this person. But before we do, I just want to make a couple announcements. Come join us. First of all, every Thursday at 4 p.m. we have a new premiere, and on Fridays there's a live chat from 6 to 7. So make sure to come back to this channel and do that. Tell your friends about us. If you have any ideas about speakers, let us know. Make sure you make comments and subscribe and like. And if you also want to be a patron of the show or donate, there is some information at the bottom to do so. And a lot of exciting things coming your way, a lot of spiritual conversations, experts in all areas, from near-death experiences, spiritually transformative experiences, Kundalini awakenings, ancient prophecies, ancient civilizations, and the soul, and more. So stay tuned. So today we have just an incredible person. We've been talking pre-show, and I feel incredibly honored to introduce our guest that's coming up. Now, our guest, he has such a wealth of information on his background and what he's done. So we're going to have to dive into that a little bit more once I introduce him. But he is, the person I'm speaking of is Robert Bear. And let me first get him on here. Hey, Robert, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I want to mention a couple things about you to our guest today, and then you can kind of fill in. But
sure.
Robert has done so many things in his career, and I'll mention a couple things, and I'll just let you fill it in because there's so much. But you have had, we went back and forth, but at least three near-death experiences,
Right.
And as well as multiple spiritual transformative experiences. And you also used to be a CHIPS officer, police officer,
Right.
and a professor.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were the vice president of the International Association of Near-Death Studies. And nowadays, which you're very excited, and I'm very excited because I just became an affiliate group member of the SAI, which is the Spiritual Awakenings International, and which I want to talk about this as well. And you are the co-founder and vice president, along with Dr. Yvonne Kaysen. So welcome.
Thank you.
And before we start, why don't you tell us a little bit about the organization and how people can sign up, how they can be a member, and then we'll go into where people can get to know you, what you were like, your experiences, and then kind of what that meant to you, and then we'll go from there. So maybe tell people about SAI.
Sure. Dr. Kaysen, Yvonne Kaysen, and I did found it. We actually launched it June of 2020. We had previously been board members. She was president, I was vice president. And I have to bring up a lady by the name of Linda Truax. She was secretary. All three of us were with IONS International. We left about the same time, and then we formed Spiritual Awakenings International. And it is all encompassing. It's experiencers for experiencers. And we launched in June, and it's been phenomenal. We've emerged all around the world. We're in over 40 countries, 6 continents. We have 29 affiliated groups now with us. We're growing every day. It's free. We offer this everything for free.
I love it.
For the subscribers. We have presentations the third Saturday of every month, and we have some wonderful presenters.
Oh, and you do.
They donate their experience and their topic, and we have it set up so we have a website which is easy to navigate, and it's easy to sign up for it. For example, a lot of good information up there on the different things that we not specialize in, but we accept, whether it's Kundalini awakenings and things of that nature, or NDEs, whatever. We look at all of it, and we hope you'll check us out and subscribe to it.
Absolutely. Well,
We are emerging rapidly.
yes, it's true. This is, you know, when you're on the right path and the universe says yes, things will click. And I was really drawn to the Spiritual Awakenings International group. And let me give you the website. It will be at the bottom, but just to let you know, it's spiritualawakeningsinternational.org. And you can sign up for free. So there's no fee, which is amazing. And I love the fact, and that's how we somewhat connected, is that you know, my goal with this channel is to be able to create a soul community so we can have various spiritually enlightening and expansive topics without judgment, but just really enjoy it and have fun and grow together as a family. And I see that you're doing a very similar thing with the near-death experiences, with the spiritually transformative experiences, which Dr. Kaysen actually coined that term as STE. And which, yeah, and that's that. Her book, I've been, I'm right at the end, almost done, and it really has shed a lot of light on my life too. The Touched by the Light, about the different spiritual experiences in the Kundalini. So I love what they're doing because it's very open in terms of you know, for our spiritual nature, why we're here is not just the afterlife, but it's I think it's more like the soul. It's really great, guys. Check it out. So I wanted to get into a little bit about Robert's background. He's so fascinating and just he's such a swell guy. I mean, I just want to adopt him and that's it. He's my family forever now. So tell us a little bit about your background and so people know where you're coming from, and then maybe lead into, you know, your first and second, you know, NDEs, and then we'll go into, you know, what that meant to you, and not to be so, of course, formatted, but go into just, you know, we'll just have a chat about it.
Sure. I was born on March 21st, 1948, and I actually died on March 22nd, 2009.
22nd, my birthday, we just discovered. It's crazy.
And I've been so blessed because I've had 4,309 extra days of life. I count them every day. And just a side note, around about the same time I died, Michael Jackson died, the pop star.
Really?
At the same time. And he was deceased for about 45 minutes, like myself. They took him to a doctor who specialized in raising the dead down in Los Angeles. He couldn't be revived.
I didn't know that. Are you serious?
Yes. They tried to get him back to life. And I read an article about it.
Okay.
And what really piqued my interest was the same article listed a few doctors that were renowned for raising the dead. And I was in Phoenix, Arizona when I passed. And one of those doctors was my doctor.
That is cool. What year was that? What year was that, by chance?
2009.
2009.
The guy would not let me die. But
so okay, is it just an MD kind of thing, or do they have, some people have like resurrection ministries? No,
he was a cardiologist.
He's just a darn good doctor.
Yeah. And anyways, to make a long story short, I was born in Santa Cruz, California. I grew up in the Bay Area and Santa Cruz areas of California. And I did a variety of things, tried surfing. I tried, you know, playing sports and all the other things young people do. And some of my friends talked me into I was studying engineering at a university. I was going to be an engineer. A couple of friends of mine said, why don't you go with us and accompany us? We're going to take a test to be policemen. So I said, okay. So I went with them. And long story short, I ended up #1 on the list for Santa Cruz Police Department. So I got a job, and it ended up being a 23-year, like a magic carpet ride. I loved it.
Now say it again. 23. You rode a motorcycle?
I was at one of those highway patrol. Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you
And,
like
and
that?
I worked in a
That's
car. I
cool.
did everything. But I started working for Santa Cruz Police Department. And then after 1 year, the test I'd taken for the highway patrol had finally reached my number on the list. So I got offered a job there. And I went ahead and accepted it because it paid quite a bit more money in those days.
Okay.
And I ended up going to the academy in Sacramento, and then I ended up in the Watts, South Los Angeles office. Spent some time there. Then I went to San Francisco, then to San Francisco, Oakland, back to my hometown of Santa Cruz, and I promoted, went to East Los Angeles, left there and went back to San Francisco, Oakland, and back to my home area of Santa Cruz area. I had a wonderful life, a wonderful career. But I was a different person at that time in my life.
Yeah,
And,
like how? Tell us how.
well,
Inquiring minds want to know.
I I was like a double A personality, and by the book, black and white. That's what policemen
Oh,
are.
okay.
Just the facts type stuff.
Mhm.
And I was pretty rigid. That I think that goes with a job. The same thing with maybe being a little callous about things, probably.
Sure.
But that's who I was.
Mhm.
And when I retired from the highway patrol, I began doing a number of things that I really enjoyed, which included I was a city manager, community manager. I was an adjunct professor. I had a faculty staff job at Oregon Tech and also at National University, which is based in La Jolla. Oregon Tech is based in Klamath Falls, Oregon. So I'd done that. And was an international business consultant, traveled all over, was a tribal administrator for the Great Maidu Nation.
Now,
And
wait, this is all really fast, Robert. Okay, I'll go back to you did a international, what was that part again?
business consultant. I was
So
in
you went all over the world doing what?
writing personnel manuals, doing training.
Oh, wow. Okay, because you just skimmed by.
Okay,
That's like, now how many years did you spend doing that?
2 years.
Okay. And then the whole,
Actually, I'm still on a leave of absence. They
okay.
refused, they refused to accept my resignation. Uh,
What?
yeah, I was gonna. I had. This is a long. I
They can't let you go. It's just too good. We got to have some more of this, right? Is that what it is? I mean,
I died in an airplane. For me to get in an airplane is very difficult. I'm gonna put it that way.
mm,
Being in 8 to 10 planes a week, I can't do it. No,
I
can't
don't
do
blame
it.
you. I don't blame you.
So, but that's just part of it. I mean,
Got it.
I
I
burned
got it.
out.
You're like,
Anyway,
I'm done. I'm done with that.
yeah.
So talk about the Native American, how did you get involved with that? And, I don't know if you know, but I'm like part Cherokee, even though I
I
mentioned my
did not
German.
know that. I am not Native American, but my last name is Bear.
I
So
like that.
there are a lot of blue-eyed Native Americans, and I
Yeah.
have blue eyes. And I ended up helping set up gaming and doing presentations like to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and I wrote grants, self-determination grants for the Native American tribe and or the nation. And my grant writing skills started around that time. As a city manager, as having the faculty job at Oregon Tech, and doing it through the Native American Nation. And now I'm a grant writer. I've retired 3 times, but I still write grants.
Well,
So,
I have a friend who does that, who did it, who started in DC, and then apparently it's very hard to find people that are professional grant writers, and they just don't want to let them go. That's what I've heard. If you're good at it, they like to hold on to you. So that's great because maybe there can be some grants in other areas. Who knows with the NDEs?
SAI, that's what we're planning on doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And which SAI is for Spiritual Awakenings International, by the way. That's just our little acronym we call it.
Yeah.
But that's basically my life in a nutshell. I have a couple of children, and one's an attorney, and one had been a high school football, baseball coach, and now he has his own business.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
I have 5 grandchildren, and
Oh, I bet they just
and,
are crazy
yeah,
about you.
I'm single, so it's that's it. So
I bet you're like the cool granddad. You know, you're not the boring one. You're like the cool one. No, he's cool. Well, so maybe let's just dive in, just because people, on my channel really love to hear about the near-death experiences, because when you go through that, what happened, and there is some anguish and pain sometimes involved with these things, sometimes not. But in between that are the nuggets of wisdom. But more importantly, and what I'm a big advocate of, is that once you're out of the near-death experience, the processing it, the integration, but we're still connected to source. We're still connected. We're very much so connected, and we're evolving just like everybody else. But we get information, and I want people to see that. That divine light shining through you, because I'm already so guilty. We talked beforehand, and I'm just like, wow, I'm amazed. And so they can see how you are now as well, and how it's working through you. So maybe just start with the first one any way you want to do it, and some of the cognitions you got from that.
well, let me start out by saying that in 2008, I got this phone call from a friend of mine who had been a policeman with me, and he called me, and I hadn't talked to him for a while. Sometimes when you have a good friend and you've talked to somebody, it's no matter how much time has passed, you just pick up the conversation, and
Right, you just
we've
love
been friends for years. And he
them.
called me and he said, Robert, I feel compelled to ask you a question. And I said, what's that? He said, are you right with the Lord? And I said, what?
That's kind of an unusual, out of the blue question.
Yeah, he says, I just have to know. And I said, well, I said, I think so. And so we talked about other things too, but short time later, I was in bed, and all of a sudden I woke up in the middle of the night. At the foot of my bed was my mother, who had died in 2005. And she was beautiful. She looked like she looked
Wow.
when I was a little boy.
Was she young looking? What she look
Yeah,
like?
it was, I mean, and I don't know how we could talk, but it was like telepathically or
Yeah,
whatever.
telepathic, like you just did it.
But
Mind to mind.
she told me I was going to die and to get my affairs in order. And
Wow.
when she left, I mean, I was in a pool of sweat. I didn't know whether it was a dream. I didn't know, but it was so real. I didn't know what else to say.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't go back to sleep. It was just,
Did you see her there, or were you in between states of
I
like
saw her.
dream?
I saw her.
Was she a solid, or did you see her as a solid?
She was solid. Yeah.
Yeah, because people ask these things. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter, but okay.
Okay.
Wow. So what did you take from that? How long did that last, that
Well,
experience? It felt like it lasted forever, but
here's what happened. I had a full physical by a doctor, with a treadmill and the whole 9 yards, the tests and everything. I passed with flying colors. So I thought, I kind of thought, this must be a dream. I didn't think much of it. But I did, but I didn't. I thought, I had thought my health was really good. But the friend that had called me and asked me if I was right with the Lord, he died. He passed away.
wait a minute. How long? Okay, this is crazy. So how
A
long
few-
ago was that?
couple months later, he died.
From
And
what?
so
He just died?
he died. Yeah, he had a stroke and died.
Oh my goodness.
So, anyways, I went down to California and I helped. I helped do his. I took part in his eulogy. I'd known him for almost 50 years, and so I got home back to Oregon, and one night, same thing at the foot of my bed. There was my friend at the foot of my bed,
Wow.
and
Did he look young too?
yes, just
Yeah,
like when we were young.
yeah,
And
great.
he told me, he said, He said, I'm going to bring you through the light. I said, it's like we could talk to one another. And I said, what? What? And I thought to myself, this has to be a dream.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to bring you through the light. Don't worry, I'll be with you. And he said, I have to go. I have to go visit my grandchildren in Sacramento.
Oh, wow.
So I ended up in a pool of sweat again. I mean, this was, it was hard. It's still hard for me to even talk about it.
Well, I
But,
think it's beautiful. What love. I mean,
but,
what love to come
but,
back.
but, I had that full physical.
Okay.
I passed with flying colors. I thought,
So you're confused. You're like, what is this?
right after that, I went to Phoenix, Arizona. My son had been a football, baseball, high school teacher and coach, and he had always had a break in the spring. So in March of 2009, I went down and to spend a few days with him and my granddaughters, took them to some spring training ball games and did the stuff that a grandparent does. And so I was down there, and it was real hot down there. It was like almost 100 degrees, and I'm from the coastal area of Oregon, so it's really cool here.
Mhm.
And being in the heat, sometimes it's very uncomfortable. It takes you a while to adjust
acclimate.
to it.
Mhm.
So when the week ended, I'd been feeling sick the whole week. But when the week ended, I thought, well, I can hardly wait to get back to Oregon. So he dropped me off at the airport, and I said my goodbyes to everybody, and I just kept getting sicker and sicker. And I saw this long TSA line. I thought, how am I going to make this? I made it. And
Wow.
I stopped in one of these little markets they have at the airport. I
Mhm.
bought a couple aspirins. It's a good thing I did. Took them. And I waited and waited to get on the plane. Finally, they decided to board us. I got on the plane and I started to put my stuff in the overhead bin, and I dropped dead from a massive heart attack right on the airplane. And personally, I found out later there were a couple of firemen from the state of Washington that had been there for spring training also, and they started to give me CPR, and they knew how to work a defibrillator. But for me, I was off. I was off
So
gravitating.
just that quick, you were
I was
out of your
dead.
body. You were
I
gone.
I was headed, and there was somebody with me. I like to think it was my friend, because he was a guy. If he told me he's going to do something, he
He's
would
going to
do
do
it.
it. Yeah. You said he
And
was.
I ended up going up into just a brilliant light. I started to see all these colors that don't exist on Earth. They're different, and it was so full of warmth and love, and went all the way to this. I don't know where I ended up, but where I ended up was like in a place where there was a higher power, and I could not look at the higher power. It was so humbling. It still bothers me to talk about it. I heard something say to me, and I don't know how it was said, what language it was said. What good have you done in your life? Something to that effect. And the next thing you know, I saw a life review. My life. And it started from actually before I was born, physically born, all the way till the time that I died. And it was a reckoning for me. When you are a policeman, you have a lot of power. When you're a city manager, you have a lot of power. When you're a professor, you actually have power there too, because it
That's true.
affected people's lives.
Yeah.
Everything I'd done in life affected other people's lives. And when I saw my life review, I would see the people in it. I could feel my own feelings and what I experienced, but I could also feel their feelings and what they thought about me. And it bothered me. bothered me to the point it still haunts me today.
Wow. That's
But
it.
I saw some wonderful things too. I saw the Christmas of 1954, which was my grandmother's last Christmas. I had two grandmothers that were so wonderful to me. Um, I had a stuttering problem when I was younger, and one of them took it on herself to work with me with my stuttering problem.
I love
And
it.
and then the other one was partially blind because of cataracts, which today she probably wouldn't be blind now.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Technology.
my father built a home for her behind our place, and she lived with us, and we took care of her. But
Precious.
I saw the Christmas of 1954. My parents had given her a um, Brownie Instamatic camera, and they were trying to show her how to work it, and she was saying, "I don't want this thing. It, it's too complicated." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm that way with my cell phone right now, because my granddaughters will say, "Grandpa, you need this app, you need that." No, I don't. I just need to dial 911 or whatever. And then when they leave, I got all these apps on my phone.
You got all
I
these
have
things.
no idea what they are. But anyways, I saw this, and it was so good to see my grandmother. So good. All the stuff that we did, I used to go spend nights with her, and she saw Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West show, and she would tell me about it. And 5 minutes after she told me, I'd say, "Grandma, can you tell me about Buffalo Bill's Wild
Yeah.
West show?"
Again, I want to hear it again. I
But
want to
she
hear it
would
again.
do it. She would do it. And this was before television, so we listened to the radio.
Yeah.
And we used to listen to The Shadow and all the Amos and Andy and shows like that. And I could hear her snoring, and in bed, I'd sleep with her and stuff. And it was a wonderful time of my life.
Yeah.
And I also told my father this when I was a kid. I was probably about 5 years old. We used to go to San Jose to go shopping on the weekends. And we'd be in a station wagon. Everybody'd be running all over the station wagon. There's no seat belts or nothing. You got to the store, and then everybody, my mother, she was Irish Catholic. She ruled it with an iron fist.
Things were done right.
Simple, no. You
You
did
didn't
not.
talk, you didn't talk back.
And I knew if I asked my father for something, I'd be more apt to get something. So I saw these baseball cards, and I asked my dad, I said, can I get these baseball cards? And he goes, "Go ask your mother." And I knew as soon as he said that, it was going to be a big no. But he said,
Over.
Go ask her. And she goes, "Well, go ask me what?" He says, "Ask her." So I asked her, and I said, "Can I get some baseball cards?" She says, "How much are they?" And my dad said, "I think they're a nickel." She goes, "No." So
Boy, she's tough.
I
That's funny.
stole them. I stole them. And
Oh, that came up in the life review, the stolen cards.
when I got home,
Oh,
I was unfolding them, and I had the stick of chewing gum. I just put the stick of chewing gum in my mouth. My mother opened the door, and she goes, "Robert, what do you got there? What's that?" So she looked at me, and it was the baseball cards. And she
okay.
goes, "Where'd you get these baseball cards?" And I wouldn't say anything. So she said, "That's it." So she got my father. They loaded me up in the car. We went all the way back to the store with the baseball cards.
Take
And they made me apologize to the store owner for stealing. Not only did I have to apologize, my mother humiliated me by saying, "Call the police, take him to jail. We don't care. He needs to
Oh,
learn a lesson." It was just
a hard ass.
Irish Catholic.
Oh my God, she's
And
tough.
the guy was saying, "No, no,
It's cool. It's cool.
yeah,
Let's
it's
just.
okay. Just give me the nickel." And so my dad forked over a nickel. And so, anyways, I was telling my dad about this because my dad lived till he was 97 and lived past
Bless
me
him.
coming back to life. I was telling him about this, and I said, "You remember that?" And he goes, "I do." He said, "I couldn't believe what your mother said." And I
Yeah,
said, "No, you guys did your job as a parent.
they sure did.
You did your job." And
You learned the
I'm
lesson.
so grateful for what you did. And so anyways,
That
my
came up
life,
in your life
my,
review
my
then.
life kept progressing, and I had a girlfriend. Well, I didn't have a girlfriend. She thought she was my girlfriend. I was in high school. My,
Okay.
my girlfriend was my car. All my money went into my car. And, you know, if there was if my sister wanted to date somebody, my father said, well, you have to go with her. It has to be a double date. And I was only 10 months older than her. It's the old Irish twin thing,
Oh,
where
really? Okay.
you're 10 months older than your sibling. So, and my dad, I'm boom, 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 just like that. There was 5 of us. So
That's a big
I was
family.
the oldest, yeah. So anyways, I used to always ask her to go on double dates, and we would do things because I had to sit in the back seat and watch, and we'd go to the drive-in or whatever. My sister could only be in the front seat with her boyfriend. That's just the way it was. My dad and mom were that way. So, anyways, she came up to me, this young lady, and she said, "Can you take me to the dance at the Coconut Grove?" And I wanted to go cruising Beach Street with my friends, and I said, "When is it?" She said, "It's tonight. I want you to take me." I said, "I can't." She says, "Why?" And I was trying to think of an excuse. She goes, "Tell me the truth." And I said, "Well, I'm going to go cruising with my friends." And she said, "Can I go with you?" And I said, "No, no, you can't." And so anyway, she got mad, took off, and I was working on my car, getting it all cleaned up and stuff. She came over and handed me this letter and took off. She ended up going with some other friends down there, and they got in a crash that night and died. She died in the crash,
That same night.
same night.
Wow.
And I had this letter. I could never open the letter. But during my life review, I heard a voice say, "You never opened my letter."
It was her.
I know who it was. And by the way, it was like an arena, like a stadium, where people were just all over, souls or whatever. Spirits were there. People that you had affected in your life were there, and they would interject whenever. I mean, they didn't hold back on me.
So
Not at
during your
all.
life review, you're saying you were supported by light beings, spirit light
Yes, yes, it was.
beings. Who do you think they were? Not that
They
you
were
know.
there. They were, well, it's just like her. It had to be her.
Got it.
And
So
I and
they
and I
knew you. They knew you in some way.
oh yeah, that was them. And but I saw people. I could read their minds. I heard it from like from out where the body was of souls or whatever. I mean, it was just like you were hit like a ton of bricks. And I did see like I did fall in love really really fast for this young teenager when I was a teenager, and her mother would not let her be with me without her being there, which was fine. I mean,
Right.
but probably the best day of my life was the day, or one of the best days of my life was the day I spent with her in San Francisco when she lived in Newport Beach and came up and was visiting. And her mother says, "Well, call Robert and you guys
Wow.
can get together." And it was one of the best days of my life. I got to relive all the good things too, but the negative stuff. And
Yeah, that's what you said.
there was,
And little things like the baseball cards and
yeah, and the way people thought about you. But I wanted to say this. I'm gonna say I know we're probably running out of time, but
no, we're no, I wanted to get we're doing okay.
hold
I
on.
just
I, I
wanted to
want I want I want
yeah.
to I want to emphasize one thing that I talked to you about. Where we've been as experiencers, especially if you've been kind of where I've been through, um, it's like there's no there's no cameras, there's no videos, there's no nothing, there's no pictures. It's just my account or the account of others that have been there of what they saw and what they felt. And I was telling Tamara that it's just like Christopher Columbus or Marco Polo, or maybe even like Mark Twain when he went off and did his travels and came back and booked a hall in San Francisco. And it would just be like you'd have to listen to them and form your own opinion. And this is about you to form your own opinion. I realize that what I'm saying may be, you may be questionable about things. To me, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you what I saw, what I observed. It's up to you to take whatever you want from it. And I would encourage you to go on YouTube, check out Tamara, check out others that have gone through these things. And because we stick our necks out by talking about this sometimes. And I have to say that.
You're right.
That's what SAI is about too. I mean, for people that it's experiencers for experiencers. But anyways, back to my life review. Policeman. Saw it all.
Yeah.
I saw this situation when I was in Watts. I was there right after the riots, and you'd make a stop and they'd seem to take you in the projects, and you'd be in the projects like in an alleyway, and you'd be having your interaction with the person that had violated the law or whatever. You'd look up and there'd be rifles pointing down at you. It was really intimidating. And one night I heard these gunshots go off, and I was with another officer, and the sound of the gun meant it was right there. It was like, I said, "Did you hear that?" And he goes, "Somebody's here." And I said, "Yeah." All of a sudden I saw this guy come running towards me with a rifle. And I yelled at him to halt, to stop. He just kept right on running at me. And for some reason or other, I didn't draw down on him or did anything. I probably would have been warranted to do it, but my sixth sense came in. He came up and he said, he was out of breath. He said he ran to us. He saw us with the lights on and stuff. And he said, "Somebody just robbed me. And I just fired a warning shot. And I saw you guys. Can you help me?" And I thought to myself, thank goodness I didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, that was a good one. You saw that in your life review too?
I did. And when I saw it, I actually heard a voice say, "Thanks for not shooting me."
No.
Yes.
Wow. You're welcome.
I mean, I was rocked to my core. And
Wow.
and you know, something was fidgeting off to the right. I couldn't look at the higher power. I could never look at it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, but I looked off to the right. And
Shame? Is that why you couldn't look? Just shame? Was that it? Most of us probably.
Yeah. I think it just humbled me. I mean, it's just like this is a reality check. And like I said, it's a reckoning. It was a reckoning for me. But I saw something fidget, and my dog Scooter had died in 2001, and we had done everything together. She practically lived in my truck. She was my best buddy. And when she passed, it was one of the worst days of my life. And it was almost getting to the point in my life review where I saw I was about to see her pass.
Oh.
There she was. She couldn't come to me, but I saw her. She was so excited to see me.
Like and she was like your spirit now. And you were in this process, they let you see her.
I never knew that dogs or animals went there. And
yeah, that's great, isn't it? Yeah.
And I saw that, and then I had to go look at the rest of my life review. And it went on and on to all the things that's happened. And
did you not feel it only from your point of view? You felt it at the time that it happened, but didn't you also feel it from the other person or person's point of view too?
Yes, and I felt all their feelings, everything.
Yeah. And you're like, ouch, didn't know you felt that. Ouch.
That's right. And I'll tell you, when I came back to life, I spent some time looking people up intentionally, And I didn't care whether they thought I was crazy or not. I told them, I said,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry I made you feel the way that you did.
Wow.
And I mean, it was humbling for me. But
You did. What was their response? I mean, I think that's very brave to do that, but probably necessary.
it was necessary for me. And
Yeah.
whether some people probably thought I was crazy. I don't know. But,
Well, it's about you in the end.
and, you know, I could keep going on about my life review, but I'm not. Um,
How did it change you when you came back? I know that you saw probably different dimensions and depths, but did you
here-
say, I'm going to do things different this time?
can I just say one more thing before I get into that?
Oh my goodness, of course.
I don't know why, but I ended up back in my body.
Okay.
And I don't remember. There was some interaction with the higher power. I can't remember what was said or what. I mean, I was just so humbled. I couldn't look. It just rattled me to my core. And I ended up back in my body in the emergency room. And shortly after, I died again. And
That was
this
your
this
third one.
time,
They were
this
same
was my
day.
second one. Yeah.
I mean,
I had a different experience where I hovered on top of my bed
okay.
and I was watching them work on me, and they were going helter skelter. I was
Mhm.
watching this, and then my attention was drawn to another part of the hospital, and there were a couple of people going through my personal things there, which my wallet was one of them.
You were seeing that from out of your body,
Yeah,
hovering.
yeah. And so I was looking at them. I mean, they were going through my wallet. So they were actually talking about, I wonder if he has insurance cards. I could hear him say that. And I had them like in a different special place in my wallet. And I was trying to tell them where to look. But they weren't hearing me. And
Why
I
can't
thought,
they hear me?
I must be dead. I actually thought that.
Did
And then
you?
all of a sudden they saw my police ID. They went through my stuff and there was my police ID. And they go, whoa, this guy's retired police. And it had all my stuff and everything. And they closed up that thing and they said, well, and the next thing I know, I'm back in my body. I was revived again. And I ended up in an intensive care ward. I had all these machines hooked up on me. It was terrible. And the doctor would come in and talk to me all the time. And I was telling him, he asked me, he said, do you remember anything? And I said, I do. And he goes, will you tell me? And I said,
I'm surprised you asked.
I told him some things, but I just wasn't feeling good. And but I told him about the people going through my wallet in admissions or whatever they were. He goes, really? And I said, yes. He went and got the same people, brought them into my room, and he says, can you tell them what you told me? And I said, yeah, I told them. And as soon as I said it, they said, that's exactly what happened. How could he know that? And my doctor was laughing, and he said,
yeah, they know why. You saw it.
Yep. And so I spent all this time in intensive care. All I wanted to do was to go home. I needed another surgery, and the doctor told me that, and I said, I don't want to be here. I want to go back to Oregon. And for me, if I had to go and go to I kept thinking about my gravitating up to where my life review was, how wonderful and warm it was, and how beautiful and loving it. And I thought,
Now you're here.
that has to be what is.
Now you're here.
I have to look at the glass half full instead of half empty, which my life review was my life half empty stuff. But and then I thought, I wonder if I got to go through this again. And so, anyways, I ended up.
Did you do the surgery? So this was.
He did not want to let me go, but he had a colleague in Eugene, Oregon that he knew. He says, this guy will do the work for you if you want. So I said,
Okay.
I just want to go home. Whatever happens. I said,
Yeah, I get that.
"Oh,
How long were you in the
well,
hospital? So you were in the plane, you're putting your luggage in over the overhead, heart attack, gone, dead.
a good week in
And then you went to for a week in the intensive care. Yeah, you probably, you just probably wanted some normalcy to go back home.
well, I saw my kids came, and my daughter's an attorney, so she started worrying about the legal aspects.
Well, that's sweet. She's there for dad.
Yeah, my son was there, and that, to me, after seeing them, I felt if I had to go, at least I got to tell them how much I loved them and stuff. And my daughter was already starting to think about, you need a trust, you need this, you need that, and so I just wanted to, I just wanted to.
Right.
I was
You
trying
needed
to
a
live.
break. You needed a break from it all. So did you ever get the surgery from the fella in Oregon?
Yeah, and that's where I'm going with this.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to rush you.
No, I'm talking too much. I apologize.
No, not at all. No.
Anyway, by the way, I don't know if I told you, I found out my friend, his grandkids actually live in Sacramento. I found that out. I did not know that. The guy that appeared in front of
Said
my
bed and said,
yes, I forgot to bring that up. It just flashed in my head.
interesting.
Anyways, which validated that. So, anyways, I needed a surgery and I had it, and I was in the recovery room, and it was raining sideways. I mean, the wind was blowing, rain. I could hear the rain on the window, and I happened to look over to my left, and there was this old nun sitting next to me. And I thought to myself, am I dead? And I looked over at her and I said, am I dead? She goes, no, she says, I was just praying for you. And I said,
What made you think you're dead? Because you saw a nun. Was she that old that, or what?
well, I guess because I grew up in I went to a Jesuit school and stuff. You just think of that.
Well, yeah.
So anyways, I was kind of groggy, and I said, well, thank you for praying for me. She told me she's been praying for me. And I said, how did you know I was here? And she goes, everybody knows when Lazarus is here. I said, what are you talking about? Said,
I know.
you were raised from the dead.
That's a really big compliment.
And so anyways, she was kind of smiling, and she goes, I want to ask a favor of you. And I said, that's why you're really here. No, she says, I'm here to pray for you too. And I said, what's your favor? And she said, I've spent my whole life, adult life, being a nun.
Wow.
And do you remember what you saw when you passed?
Oh,
I
that's
said,
precious.
I do remember. She said, could you share that with me? And I said, not right now. I want to go to sleep. And she goes, I said, can you come back? And she said, I will. And I said, can you bring a Diet Mountain Dew with you? And she goes, she laughs and she goes, okay. And I
You're
said,
like, deal. That's the deal. Diet Mountain Dew. First, I'll tell you what's over there.
So anyway,
sounds like a good bargain.
She came back and I told her the whole story. And I told myself, I was talking to Yvonne, she said, you got to write a book, Robert. And I said, I know where to start. It'll be in that recovery room with that old nun. Actually, old, she's probably my age. I mean, I'm talking about somebody being old. But I'm going
That
to
sounds
start
like a
with
movie.
that.
It really does sound like a movie, Robert. It
And
does.
so,
Yeah.
so that's what happened.
So what happened? Do you think it built her faith up by hearing your story? I think that's what she wanted, wasn't it? She's dedicated her life to serving God.
I told her the truth. And if I had to bet on whether it may have made a difference in her life, I would probably bet that it did, because it validated something that her life's work. And I
Right.
mean, I've been so blessed. I've been so blessed through this whole thing. Like I said, 4,309 days extra life. And you talked about, what changes have been made or whatever. I'm telling you, I'm not the same person that I was. I really care about what other people think of me. It's just, I've
You're considerate. You're considerate and kind.
yeah, and my kids have even told me they like me better now. It's
Really? Well,
yeah, I'm different, and I mean, I have issues.
everybody's got issues.
Yeah, I mean, and I was telling you about sometimes I can feel like something's going to happen, and then I go grab a Mountain Dew, or I go sit down in my place especially when it's dark, and I get to experience the colors again. I get like flashbacks, and another thing that happened. They don't know how this happened, but my eyesight had been like 20/90 before I had my near-death experience, before I died. It's been 20/10 since then, and I just had my eyes checked again like 2 weeks ago. It's still 20/10. I have to wear glasses to read, but I have perfect night vision. I mean, I could look down on a road sign way ahead, and I see things that are different. However, I set off alarms, and I set off, like, you go through TSA, you set that off, and microwaves, and I guess it's a change in your
Electrical field.
yeah. I don't know.
Studies done with that, because everybody that's at NDEr complains about that. I turned on my 75-inch TV. I said, "Where's the remote? The TV needs to be on." It came on. Honestly, I can't control it because I don't know how I did, but I know I did, but I don't know. I can't control it. Has there been a study on that?
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you, I mentioned this before. Somebody did a book on it. Her name is Debra Diamond, Dr. Debra Diamond.
That's it.
And,
That's it.
And I would recommend.
That's it. I'm going to get that book. Debra Diamond. It's yeah. Oh yeah. Show us the book, because I also want to talk about the William Shatner thing in the book that you're in. Yes, Life After Near Death.
After Near Death by Debra Diamond. I'm one of her case studies, and she's gonna speak, by the way, at SAI, Spiritual Awakenings International, SAI, probably in June. So she's gonna speak at our conference, and it'll be free. Even our conference will be free. So
like, this is free. We just want to spread the information and the love, and ask questions and grow together.
But I had found out from her in her research that yeah, I mean, you have these different things happen, and they kind of, you have to live with it. You have to live your life after near death. You have to live it, and it's difficult.
Can't ignore it.
And I came back with medium tendencies, and
explain that to people.
Well,
listening. No, well, people listening.
I denied this for a long time. I was in a Walmart line.
That's a story in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, but I was between a couple people, and I kept hearing this Chinese dragon red. I thought, oh man, it just wouldn't go away. And so finally I asked this lady, I said, "Did you just paint your house Chinese dragon red or something like that?" She goes, "I did. How'd you know?" And I said, "I'm sorry I even mentioned." She said, "How'd you know?" And everybody in the line ended up following me out to my car, and I thought, this was a mistake. I shouldn't do that. And I have all these things happen, and I haven't developed those tendencies. I have enough on my plate as it is. But some of them are so,
well, like
they scream at you, and 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 um, I mean,
One-
it's just unless you've been in that type of a situation, and I've been 100% accurate at everything.
Mhm.
And Yvonne, Dr. Kason has been with me when some of them have happened, and she validates them for me, and she says, just let them happen. I said, I can't do that yet. Uh,
Well,
I'm almost 73 years old, and I'm almost
so
13 now,
you're
too.
an, but you're an eternal spiritual being. And I think that's our natural state, Robert, is to be intuitive and to know, but for some reason that's been squashed down and kind of beat out of us in the name in the name of fear. And to me, there's nothing fearful about it when you get information. I guess it comes down to when you do get it, is it going to help someone? Or I always say, why are you telling me this? Spirit, why are you telling me this? And I now don't go up to people and say, hey, da 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 da. But I did all that. I did all that. I didn't know better. And now I say, okay, if you want me to tell them, you need to make that happen. And I do. They'll make the person come up to me. But I used to do that. I didn't know that I was scaring the crap out of people, because I certainly don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. But I think this is our natural state is telepathy, is knowing, is communicating without words. That's why you can visit people in your dream state or your dream walking state. You don't have to have a body. These bodies don't last forever.
They don't. They're just a shell. That's all they are.
And
And
then,
and
but
that's
that's who we
that's
are.
that's another thing. My background in being, um, especially going through a Jesuit education and all the other.
That's fascinating. How
I
long did you do that? Was it like a 4-year college or what was it?
Yeah, it was the University of San Francisco. I got a bachelor's and a master's from there. But I just want to say this. There was no time I would ever have thought that reincarnation was real. And my whole viewpoints have changed with this. This has been a life altering thing for me, and the issues that I have, um, I just, for example, I've been on on the Coast Highway. Something told me to pull over, so I pulled over quickly into a pullout, and all of a sudden, around the curve on the wrong side of the road came a logging truck. I've learned to listen to
Me too.
my inner uh, senses or whatever, my sixth sense, and my gut feeling, and it's been accurate every single time. And I would encourage people in your audience to pay
I,
attention to their sixth sense.
I agree.
You're right. I think I had it before, but I just didn't pay attention to it.
Mhm.
But now, boy, I listen. I listen up, and
Well, that's your team God. You're looking out for you. And I remember it's funny because I totally had forgotten about this too. You said I went to East Carolina University and I got a degree in marketing and advertising and went to art school there. And anyway, it's 5 hours East Carolina and Greenville, North Carolina
yeah,
from Charlotte. And so it felt so good one day. I was driving. This sounds crazy. I fell asleep in the car. I literally was asleep in the car. I was like, God, this is the best nap. And I heard a voice. It's usually in my right ear. But I heard a voice. It's not always just the words, the voice, but it's telepathy, but it's kind of loud. They said, "Turn now," and I turned, and it was at that exact moment I was going to head onto a huge truck, like a huge, carry a freight truck. And at that moment, I just went. I woke up. There was a road there. There was no roads on a highway, but there was the road. So my whole life has been like this. I mean, I always laugh and say, boy, do I keep them working. But at least I'm listening now. They're like, oh God, finally she's listening. We got her out of the partying stage, the 20s. We made it through the 20s. And okay, now she's listening. So does that mean that we're perfect? No, but for me, I feel so, I feel like my life goes so much better when I surrender and I listen and my soul co-creates with source and God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, and listens for direction because I mean, we're here for a reason, and we have a purpose. We're not
We
alone.
we do.
So tell us, gosh, there's so much that we could cover. The after effects. That's one of the after effects. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with it. They could just be a regular, mom, dad, person, whatever. And then they get these things. And this could happen to anyone at any point in life, not only a near-death experience, but they could have a spiritually transformative experience, like seeing a person in front of them. I mean, I always kid about that. That's actually my example I use to give people. If your grandparents show up to you at the end of the bed, you would have a spiritually transformative experience. I mean, that would change your life if you saw that. And there are people every day that are waking up more and more, which is why I'm so glad we have, SA, of course, I hate to keep saying SAI, but this, Spiritual Awakening International, that people can go to and learn more about these things, because I do think this is our natural state. So,
I'd like to say one thing.
Go ahead.
You triggered it. You triggered it just a little while ago.
Is that good? I don't know.
The hardest thing that I've had to deal with is betrayal. And when I went through my near-death, when I went through my life review, those of us that have had been married before or had relationships where there's been a betrayal issue, there are no secrets in the life review process.
Oh, I got it.
You know everything about everything. And
secrets are revealed.
yeah. And when you come back to life, especially if you see that person, I actually was in a situation where I was alone with someone that had betrayed me in my life review. I saw it, and it was just myself and her. And I said, can I ask you something? And she said yes. And I just asked her about what I had seen, and she validated everything. And she started to cry, and I said, it's okay. I said, I'm just trying to deal with stuff like that. And I said, I just wanted to know whether it was spot on. And
did it free her by you mentioning that? Because you're like, look, I don't know. You didn't really blame her. You just
we're all human, and we all. I mean, I saw my mistakes in my life review, and I'm trying. All you can try is to do better, and that's what I've tried to do with this 4,309 extra days. I mean, and I still fall short. I fall short, but I actually was wondering whether I should even bring that up. But something,
yeah.
I did.
Yeah, you did. So what?
And I've done that with a couple other people too. And
now I feel bad. I was hoping I was the only one. Oh well. We'll have to think of something you haven't told someone. Well, I think it's still special. I mean, we're all working through stuff. And maybe it did help her when you mentioned that too, because you were able to speak about it in a non-threatening, judgmental way.
We still have to live lives, and so. But I basically just wanted to know, and I still those things still bother me, and that's what happens when you have a life review similar to mine. I think probably it's they're always going to come up. They're always going to come up, and
you know what it reminds me of a little bit. Not that everybody's near-death experience, everybody's spiritual experience. They're all different. Even ones that have had multiple ones, they're all different. I have to put that disclaimer out there, but it does remind me a little bit of what Danny and Brinkley said with Saved with by the Light, which that book I really enjoyed when I was younger because I could identify with it. He was from the South and Beings of Light. Yeah, I know who those are. But he was talking about what a horrible person he was, and the life review was excruciating for him to go through. Probably, I mean, who knows, worse than yours, but he said it was not good. He was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how horrible a person. And then he was determined to come back and change that. But at least that when you catch yourself and see that, what about the people that have life reviews and see that and they don't change? I mean, I can't answer for those people, but I mean, at least you recognize, I want to
Life's
strive
about
to be
choices.
better.
Life's about choices.
Yeah, yeah,
It
absolutely.
is. And
So,
um,
after all that, here you are now, and now you're the vice president, you know, of the, you know, this new group that you created, the, you know, the Spiritual Awakening International, which is, the speakers are awesome. And you've done so many things. Tell us, oh, and one thing we didn't mention, I want to, you know, wrap it up by saying, you know, what is it that sticks, you know, where are you now looking at the whole near-death experience community? And then I also want you to mention real quick, because we did forget to mention about the William Shatner thing too, and some other projects you've worked on, because you've worked on some really cool stuff too, as far as near-death experience projects. But tell us what's going on in your mind these days, and what do you think about the whole field of near-death experiences and STE, spiritually transformative experiences. Where are you now? Because you've changed, you've developed.
well, here's what I will say. I have to put this out there. Being a retired policeman, I can't tell my friends, police friends, about what I'm talking to you about. They would think I'm crazy.
I understand.
So, Spiritual Awakenings International, like I said, it's experiences for experiencers. We offer a venue for people to be able to listen to others' experiences and maybe seek different resources they may need to help them out. That's why we created Spiritual Awakenings International. And it's, to me, when you talk about, you know, what am I doing? I am just so blessed that I wake up every morning, and I was telling you, I play this stupid old Young Rascals song, It's a Beautiful Morning. Every morning when I get up,
Oh,
first thing I do, I play it. It puts me in the right frame of mind. And then I do that old thing, don't let the old man in. I'm not going to let him in. And so I just trudge forward. And I can speak for Yvonne and probably for Linda Truex, who we're putting all of our efforts in this, and it's to help other people, and just like you're doing, Tamara, same thing.
I'm trying to,
Yeah,
you know,
same thing, and you know, there's not a greater thing you can do in life but to help each other out. I mean, it's just,
what do you
and,
think?
I ended up being like the president of a humane society, and you know, no kill shelter, and I did that for 3 years, and I did that for a while, and I was on planning commission for 9 years, and I do a lot of volunteer stuff, but
Yeah, I've done a ton of volunteer stuff.
this SAI stuff, that's it. It's my last year.
But that's your passion in your heart, and I think
It is.
that's one thing. I think you are, and many people that I've met with your, you know, organization that are trying to be an example of living their passion and speaking their truth. So it allows other people to do that as well. Because after going through this whole pandemic and people they've had a lot of time to think about things. You don't want to waste your time on things and people that don't really line up with why we're here. It doesn't mean that you can send them love, you can be kind to them, but I mean, you need to get on with things. And I have helped so many things that didn't really line up with exactly who I am. And I feel like that doing what I'm doing now, I don't know where it's going to go. I just trust with the Seeking Heaven show, and then also getting involved with SAI, helping out whenever I can, you know, just letting people know about these spiritual experiences. They're, you know, they're real to the people that are saying it. Right. And a lot of times it's very difficult for them to come out and speak about it. So hopefully this will be a safe platform with my group and your group, and you have just been so amazing. Did you want to end it with anything and any kind of special, anything that you've learned, one big thing you want to tell the audience that you've learned that, or you would like to pass along about life in general that you feel like that's important?
The only thing I'd like to say really is that what you do in life matters. And it matters not only to you, but to other people. And it probably matters in the spiritual world too. And
So,
I would bet money on that. And after what I've been through, um, and you're right, um, I've I I was never exposed to this before until it happened to me. And even when I was on the show, I survived beyond and back.
right. Yeah. Tell us
I,
about that. Yes.
well, I was one of the persons that was last um, interviewed for that, and it's mostly because I wouldn't fly to New York and I wouldn't fly to LA and I wouldn't fly.
Right.
They
Well,
finally, I said, you have to meet me. So we met someplace where they could get a television studio and film me. And I was so, I was so reluctant to speak because I hadn't done it before. And in my wildest, they made us, to validate everything, they made you bring all your medical records and stuff, and they just to validate that you had passed away. And they did it the right way. That show was based, it's still syndicated worldwide. And
yeah.
gosh, I've got
I enjoyed that show. There was, right.
I have a cult following from that show. I ended up being probably their most popular person on that show.
I could see that. Are you
especially
kidding?
especially in Asia and places like that, and Australia and places like that. But it, I was reluctant to do it. But somebody I knew said, give it a try, and said, she had been an experiencer too, and she said, you need to go out and talk. And I said, I can't talk about these things. But finally I did. And once you start doing it, and once you realize some people are going to like you and some people aren't, it doesn't really matter. All you do is speak the truth.
Yeah.
And just like I was talking about Marco Polo and all the other stuff I said before, it is reality. And yeah, I've been actually likened to Danny and Brinkley. It was actually Yvonne who told me that about a year ago. I had never even heard of this guy.
Yeah, he's a trip.
I'm new to the NDE thing, and I think he's going to speak at our conference in June.
Oh, that would be awesome.
He's a friend of Yvonne.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, he was very inspirational to me because I didn't want to come out younger, and that was a secret. I would kind of live through the book.
It takes a lot, and it takes a lot out of you to stand up but it's getting easier for everybody, I think, because the awareness is there, and that's your show part of that.
I hope so.
AI was part of that. Ions, when I was on Ions, was part of that.
Yeah, I agree.
And
we're all playing a part. Absolutely. Well, you have been an amazing joy, and this is just the first time that we're talking to you because I want to talk about so many other things. There are so many other topics and things that we could talk about. So definitely want to have you back. And thank you so much. And I also want to tell people, please be a part of. It's free. I mean, you can't beat that. This is free. This is spiritualawakeningsinternational.org. And Robert Baer, you are just such a joy. And
you're a joy too.
I thought, well, we had too much fun before. We just have way too much fun. You should have a warning label. Robert Baer, way too much fun. So thank you so much for being on the Seeking Heaven channel. I appreciate it so much. And
until we meet again.
Of course. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you all for joining, and remember to subscribe and also check out our live chat. I'm hoping that we can get Robert as part of our guest for the live chat. So also, if you're interested in donating to the channel, feel free to do that. And thank you for being a part of this channel. and have a wonderful week. Take care. Bye-bye.